Oh.
And Sarah Burkhardt is waving to you. You got it, it's that one.
Oh, is this one to show the audience? Okay.
It's, yes, yeah, you can swap it so that the audience is viewed as well. This is one of many rooms that I have learned all about since taking my role in SEAL.
Hi, welcome. Grab a treat, find a seat.
So
Ooh, I
she's
like
saying,
that line.
she's just saying. That like Friday, we use same. So she's saying that these are for sure, the others you need to touch base with.
So. Tomorrow, the same, this probably.
You just have to ask her. You do sync?
Heather, are we good?
Whenever you're ready, you go right ahead.
Okay.
You need to
Well,
ask her.
good afternoon. My name is Brian Bohr. I'm an instructor of communication studies.
My name is Kathleen Kumar, and I am an assistant professor of adult basic education.
And we're really excited to be here, talking about sparking connections, igniting community from the start. That's our little pun, in the title here. We were really excited to kind of come up with this as a TeachECC, some programming, because we talk a lot about community. Especially here at ECC, like community is so important. Kathleen presented on community last year. It's built into the fundamentals of what we do.
What's the name
And
of the college?
it sure is. And I think what's really important is establishing positive community right off the bat. It's really hard to kind of start and just get right into content, and then we'll wait, and then we'll form that later. It has to be built from the ground up, and it has to start from the very beginning. And so we were excited to kind of come together and discuss a little bit about community right off the jump.
And share with you some ways that we build community in our respective fields and how you might take those into your respective fields, whether you're in the classroom or not.
Yes, because there's a million different ways to do this, and we're gonna explain some of the ways that work with.
So as is TeachECC protocol, we want you to know what our objectives are today, so you know if your expectations have been met. We are going to recognize the importance of establishing those relationships and communities right from the start in the semester. We're going to describe ways of making students feel welcome and most importantly, safe in our classrooms. And we are going to explain our first week's activities that we use, that we have found to be successful and to be fun and to build those relationships with our students right from the beginning.
And so we thought, like, why us? Why should we be the ones doing this? And I think both of us as people, as educators, as practitioners of this, we have some unique perspectives on creating culture right from the beginning. So I teach communication studies. The bulk of our courses are our fundamentals class, which is a public speaking class. So students often come into that class with a whole lot of anxiety, a whole lot of apprehension. Sometimes it's the last class that they need before graduation. And so they're just like, I gotta be here, but I don't wanna be here. So they walk in with not only anxiety and apprehension, but sometimes a little bit of anger that they have to be in there. And so it's a lot of diffusing that. And so we talk a lot about anxiety in the class, and one of the biggest strategies for reducing or mitigating anxiety, stress, fear, anger is by making the space a fun, positive culture where everybody not only feels safe, valued, and welcome, but that they have stake in each other's work. I think that's one of the greatest things about our class that we do is when you watch somebody else and you celebrate them because you helped them or they helped you, and we come together as this community. And it's not about winning, and it's not about even doing well for yourself, but it's about doing well for others. And I think that's kind of why I wanted to talk about this, why I feel really passionate about this and my own unique perspective on this topic.
Unlike Brian, I don't teach communications. I teach in the Adult Basic Education Center, which if you're unfamiliar is where Adults come when they are returning back to school to earn their high school equivalencies. So these are students who have been out of the regular K-12 classroom, sometimes for a very long time, sometimes they left during COVID, sometimes they're 16 and they've just separated. So I get a really, really broad demographic of people who are coming into my room. Part of taking these high school equivalency classes is that you're preparing to take GED exams. And there are 4 tests: math, science, social studies, and language arts, and then a constitution test off to the side that students are required to pass in order to earn that high school equivalency. Being in a high stakes testing environment makes you anxious and nervous all on its own. Most of the time, the last test that students pass before earning that high school equivalency is the math test, because they walk around truly believing that they are not good at math, they were never good at math, they can't do math, and that math is a wall that is so high and so smooth that there's no way to scale it and get to the top and say, oh, I can do it. And so the reason that I, like Brian said, want to build community in my classroom from the beginning is so that students realize that it's not as scary as they might perceive it to be from the outside. And like he was saying about building a classroom culture where there's stakes for everyone, at the beginning of the class, I am the instructor. I am giving tons of direct instruction. I am leading the ship down the river. But as the semester moves on and students get more comfortable with each other and get to know each other and get to know who they are as people, not just as students, they start to rely on each other. If I explain something and it lands for Susie, but it didn't land for Michael, Susie can explain it to Michael another way, because there's a culture of collaboration in my classroom that permits that, and especially permits failure and mistakes. Very intentionally, I fail in front of my students all the time. And it can be in little ways and it can be in big ways. It can be intentional, and I am human. It can be not intentional, where they get to a point where they feel comfortable enough to say, hey, I think that's not right. Or wait, isn't this supposed to be that? And sometimes they're right and sometimes they're wrong, but they're comfortable enough to speak up and share their thinking, which is one of those standards for mathematical practice that students really rarely gravitate towards, which is being a critical thinker out loud, explaining how you got somewhere from A to B mathematically. If you haven't been in a math classroom in 15 years, there's not a big high chance that you're going to walk in day one and be like, I'm ready for fractions. My students are not ready for fractions. As I like to say, it makes everything clench up. They all sit there with sweaty armpits and just really tense. And so I wanted to talk about how to build community right out of the gate, because if any of our fellow faculty or administrators are ever in positions where it's an uncomfortable class, it's a hard subject, it's a difficult meeting or crew that you're dealing with, there are ways to build community that reduce fear and increase self-confidence so that it's okay to interact and make exchange of ideas respectfully, tactfully, and failure is always an option because you just try again.
And so part of that is getting to know everybody. So we are gonna go around the room and we're gonna do, we want everybody to say, can you say your name? And then if you're comfortable, we would love for you to say your pronouns. What you do here. Good job. And then we'll do something fun, like a fun fact. Everybody do a fun fact. No, everybody hates doing fun facts. Everybody feels unfun. When you're like, tell me something fun. I don't have anything. I'm unfun. There's nothing. Let's do something better.
Like something you don't like, but I know negative is not always good, but sometimes we can rally around. Everybody hates mushrooms.
I love mushrooms.
I love mushrooms.
I hate mushrooms.
I like them because they're bouncy.
Oh, that's part of why I hate them.
If you were going to be in a circus, who or what would you be? You could be something animate or something inanimate, like the tent or the spilled popcorn. Would anybody like to start? Thank you, Heather.
You're welcome, Brian. Hello, I'm Heather Martin. My pronouns are she, her. I am the Assistant Dean of CEDL, And if I was in the circus, see, now I'm second guessing it. At first, I was gonna say I wanted to like work with the cute little dogs that do the tricks, but also like I fundamentally have an issue with making the animals do the tricks in the circus. So maybe I could like solve that problem and like be their puppy mom and make sure they have a beautiful experience. While also getting lots of furry cuddles.
All right, I can go next after Heather. I'm Elizabeth Hobson. My pronouns are she and her. I'm the Dean of Adult Education. And yikes, I don't like circuses. I'm afraid clowns creep me out. So I guess I would be like a dancer. I danced when I was growing up. I did ballet, so I guess I'll be a dancer. With you, I like the idea of the animals, but as an adult, as I've learned about what happens, now I'm a little like.
I could be like the person that makes sure that the animals don't have a negative experience, maybe.
Okay, I'm Louise Kirkman. My pronouns are she, her. I am an ESL teacher. I've been here since right before COVID. I currently have a level 4 and a level 7. And I'm also, in my role as ECC, I'm also doing some corporate on-site ESL at a company right now. I might get another one soon. So I do that as a presenter. So that's outside of my load. As far as the circus, I just had to Google the roles of a circus. What are they? I don't even know. I think I would have to be, I don't know, a ringmaster because I feel like I have lots of roles and I can probably spin plates everywhere and
Marty, grab a treat, have a seat.
Oh, thank you. Sorry.
that's probably, I don't know. I don't go to circus very often, so I don't. I'm not familiar with the different roles, but I Googled them. There are about 20 different jobs. You can have it. Just found them.
Hi, I'm Justin Robertson. I'm the Associate Dean of Communications and Behavioral Sciences. It's wonderful to be here this afternoon. My pronouns are he and him. I hate the circus, honestly. I'm very against the circus.
We have a lot in common.
So I'd be that person outside protesting.
Yes.
Trying to get the hell out of my town, yeah.
Lisa Wheeling, Manager of Outcomes Assessment, she, her. I was thinking lion tamer because I'm a Leo, so I like lions, so that came to mind, but I totally agree with the animal cruelty. So I would say the train driver. I come from a railroad family, so I would drive the train in and out of the town. And my fun fact is I drove a freight train when I was 9 years old. So I have experience.
Nice. Hi, everyone. My name is Corey LeMay, and I serve as the Director of ECC's Upward Bound program, also over in Building K. And I use he, him pronouns. And if I were in the circus, I think that I would ride a giant tricycle. I think that would be an interesting thing, like
I love that.
20 feet up in the air. That would be interesting.
Like a penny farthing? Like the big wheel in the front, the small wheel in the back?
Oh, I was thinking unicycle. I think I said tricycle. Yeah, it's more impressive if it's a
Yeah,
unicycle.
that would be more fun.
Yeah,
Do you
be a little bit
currently
easier.
have that skill set?
I don't, no, but I'll work on it.
Hi, I'm Marty. I'm sorry I missed what we were doing,
These
but
are our.
I'm Ryan Kathleen. Oh, you missed.
Who are you?
I'm Marty Pickens. My pronoun is he, him, his. My job is Director of the Intensive Arts Program and Circus. What I would be in the circus?
Yes, and you could be animate or inanimate.
Yep.
Oh, well, I've been called a clown more than once. Be the clown, but a scary one.
Okay.
Oh, okay. All right.
Hi, my name is Bilal Hussein and my pronouns are he, him, his. My job, I am brand new sociology professor here at Elgin Community College.
You emailed me, or Liddy did.
I think I did, yeah, that's
I
you.
know you.
Okay, yeah,
Hey.
we should talk. Thank you for responding back.
Oh,
In the circus, okay, I wanted to say a clown, but
Already taken.
I know.
I was a scary clown, though. You could be a funny clown.
I was thinking about being a clown, but I think I'd rather just be cotton candy.
oh,
Yes.
okay.
Pink or blue?
Pink.
Okay.
Right. On the Zoom, we have Taylor, who is a nursing instructor and would like to be an acrobat because it sounds fun and scary.
Yes.
Anyone on the Zoom, you want to unmute? Oh, go ahead, Sarah.
I'm Sarah Burkhart and I'm Kathleen's office mate. I teach ESL in Building K and my pronouns are she and her. And by the way, his and hers are not pronouns, they're adjectives. But anyway, um, I would be a trapeze artist, not because I have that skill set, but I just think it would be really fun to not be afraid of flying through the air.
Anybody else?
Anyone else online?
Hi, I'm Sherry Lacey. I'm the Director of Professional and Organizational Development in HR. My pronouns are she and her. And I choose to be a clown because it would give me permission to just be goofy and silly and make people laugh, but not at the animal abuses. So.
And you have permission to do that no matter what. You don't need to be a clown to do that.
Thank you, Brian.
Yeah. Brian, what would you be?
So my name is Brian. I use he, him pronouns, Sarah. I'm the instructor of communication studies. And then if I were gonna be in a circus, I too would be protesting. But if I were inanimate, I think I would be the car that all the clowns jam into. Think about that. Kathleen?
That's a lot to unpack, literally and figuratively. My name is Kathleen Mars and my pronouns are she, her. I'm now concerned I'm gonna get it wrong. And my job is that I am an assistant professor, one of adult basic education, specifically math. If I were in the circus, it would be the Cirque du Soleil, so there would be no animals, and I would do aerial silks so that I could do that thing where they get very high and then go down to the bottom.
Awesome. All right, so kind of already trying to establish community, this stuff takes time. And it's hard when we feel like we have so much content to cover, so much stuff to dedicate literally like 12 minutes to talking about these things. But it's one of these things that is so worth it, where we're laughing and joking and creating this very unique, this is a unique culture that we are creating that is different from any other room, that is different. If one person left, it would drastically change the culture, that we're all contributing and co-creating this thing together.
If Brian left, the clowns would have nothing to drive around in.
Right. So why is this stuff important? Creating positive class culture has many positive implications. This is my one research slide. It bolsters equity, diversity, inclusivity, and justice outcomes. When students feel part of a class, they feel more apt to speak up and speak out. When students feel that they have stake in others' work, they're more willing to be open and raise their hands and get involved. And we know that. These are very obvious things, but there is some real data behind them. It reduces barriers, especially for our ELL, for our language learners. When we have a positive, inclusive culture, a culture where we're allowed to make mistakes and where making mistakes or having failures is not only okay, but it's celebrated, that those are things that happen in this room and that we say, yay, I'm so glad that happened here and not out there. That we're willing to make those mistakes and have those big aha light bulb learning moments. It increases retention and enrollment. When students feel safe and comfortable, they continue to come to class. When they don't, that's when we run into, and we as faculty hear this all the time. I don't feel safe, so I don't go. I feel like my professor makes fun of me, and so I don't go. I've had students say that they were called stupid, and so why would they come back? There's no reason that they should come back, because the grade isn't worth the feeling. We meet college-wide goals, we have that whole strategic plan, and none of that can happen if we don't have students able to able and willing to learn and grow and develop and change.
What's our college mission? Improve lives through learning. If they're not coming, they're not learning. And if they don't feel safe with us, they're not coming. So.
And then have fun. I am a firm believer that a classroom should be enjoyable.
Me too.
That doesn't mean that we reduce any rigor. Rigor can be fun. We can talk about hard stuff. We can challenge each other. I love when students challenge me. And that's when we're having fun and we play games to get comfortable so that we're able to say, hey, I respect you, but I disagree with that. And that's how I think we can have fun in the rigor and in the coursework.
In my class, we do fractions, so same. To piggyback off of Brian, I also have one very academic slide, and here you see the infographic up here on the screen. Part of building a culture of community means that you've developed a sense of belonging in your class. Brian alluded to it earlier when he said if any one of us left the room, it would drastically change the climate of the room. We'd lose a clown, we'd lose a trapeze artist, we'd lose a lion tamer. It would really mess up our circus, you know? And there are some academic components to what having a sense of belonging really means. And we see them up here in orange, green, blue, and yellow. And those 4 components are understanding, control, self-enhancing, and trusting. And you can see what they mean academically. I understand what is expected of me. In the classroom, that means I know what I'm supposed to do. I'm not confused. I know when I come in, there's going to be a warm up. I know that the objectives are going to be on the board. I know that the itinerary for the day loosely is going to be up there. I know that I can sign in and grab a treat. Like I know what I'm supposed to do. I'm not confused or worried. Okay. That second piece, control, I have a sense of how to get results. In my classroom, that means I know how I can improve, and I, more importantly, know how I can get help if I need it. And the most instinctual way is to come to me, the teacher. But the other way, once you develop that real strong community, is that I can turn to my friend. I have my friend's cell phone number. I can say, hey, can you let the teacher know I'm stuck in traffic? Or, hey, do you want to get together outside of class and review this for the test next week? Because I have a friendship now in my class. I'm not my own little island. That third piece, self-enhancing, I feel valued at work. Well, for our students, school is their job. That's what their big responsibility is by and large. And in my classroom, that means that I'm important. I'm valuable in this classroom. Me being here brings value to the room, not just value to me. I am bringing knowledge and insight to other people, and I'm gaining content knowledge and friendship and community and ideas from the people who I'm engaging with in my classroom. And then finally, trusting I can count on others. That means that there are multiple people within the classroom environment that you can turn to if you need something. If you need help with fractions, but also if you need a ride because you've got a flat tire on the way here and you need to get to Discount Tire after class. Or if you need someone to show you where to go in Building B to get that student ID because they just got theirs last week. Or because you want to know where is the tutoring center and somebody in class went last week and they can show you where it is and introduce you to the person in charge. Having that level of trust, other people to turn to for support works in that classroom. But then once you are beyond the semester, those people, those connections stick to you. And when you see them in the hallway, or you see them in a common area, or you see them enter another class, you see those fist bumps start to happen, or you see those, hey, how's it going? Or like, oh, what class are you in? What teacher do you have? Or, oh, wait, before we register, let's go together so that we can be in the same class again. And if you're really lucky from the professor side of it, you have students who say, do you teach the next level? Because I want to take your class again, but I want to keep going. I don't want to stay where I am. And that to me is like the biggest compliment that I get is when a student wants to loop with me. Or when they understand that they still have more to learn, and in adult ed, it's very common to repeat a level, that they are okay repeating because they know they're going to get something out of it because they've already made a tremendous amount of progress in the semester that they're in. So from the academic perspective, again, understanding, control, self-enhancement, and trusting are those key components to belonging.
And it's really hard to create belonging at a 2-year commuter school. We don't have the luxury of having students for 4 years who live on and around campus. And it's very easy, and I think we've all seen this or experienced this ourselves as students, where it's very easy to walk in and keep your head down and keep your eyes forward and just show up to class, do the work and leave. And we know from so many different places from people telling us that student retention, enrollment does not get bolstered by that. And when students feel like they belong, when it's not just head down, eyes forward, and they don't say a word all day, that they're actually making those connections, that they feel like they're a part of something, that's when this place feels so much more vibrant, and where we all have way more fun, get to dive deeper into content, because you're not just doing the same stuff over and over, and we get to see more students, we get to build more classes because we have students who want to stay around and want to get involved.
And even on top of that, it applies to the faculty and to the administrator culture of community as well. Brian and I are not even close to in the same division. You know, we could not be building B and building K may as well be Aurora and like McHenry County,
Yeah.
like far, far apart. But because we both value this sense of belonging and community and having fun, a lot of times you'll see us working together. A lot of times you'll see us trekking across campus to see each other, or you'll see me roaming around building B looking for Dr. Hope or looking for, you know, Joe, or looking for somebody because I have a question and I know that there's a resource because I have that trusting community where I have others that I can turn to if I need something. And if they don't know, they probably know somebody who does know. And I'm comfortable enough that I can do that. And so it's, if you're not in a classroom setting, this isn't something you're like, well, this doesn't apply to me. It does. Think about the people who work near you and how you can use these ideas of belonging to make your work life a little more enjoyable, a little more fun, a little more productive, a little more creative. Okay. So how do I do this in my classes? Like I mentioned, I teach an adult basic education. I teach math classes. These are foundational and high intermediate classes that I typically teach. The way that I approach my classes are very long. Let me start with that. They are 3+ hours each, and they meet a couple of times a week, which is a really long time for a student to say, yeah, I want to do math. I'm terrified and I'm going to come for 6 to 8 hours a week. And so when they walk into my classroom, we can't do right away what we just did in here, which was everybody go around the room and tell me your name and tell me what you're in the circus for. No. They have to get to know who is this weirdo in the front of the room who's asking this of them. And so I start with a very Kathleen focused first day. I want my students to know all about me, to the point where they feel like they know my dental records. They know so much about me. So let me show you just a little bit of what that looks like. Okay, so this is what my students might see when they come to my class. Welcome to my math class. My name is Kathleen, and not all professors do this. I give them my cell phone number. I've yet to have a student abuse it. I've yet to, get anything inappropriate, and it's my 9th year in adult education. Many teachers use the Remind app as well. I show them who I am. I give them my phone number again. I give them my email address, and I tell them where my office is. And then I kind of describe, what does Building K look like? It's a lollipop with a big loop on the end, and my office is in the loop of the lollipop. Sometimes we get up and we walk down, I say, this is my office. If we have a tornado drill, we'll be in here. And I show them where I live, okay? Then I tell them a little bit about me in terms of like the big broad stuff. I live in Aurora, I'm married, I used to teach at Waubonsie Community College, I have 2 cats, I'm an only child, I'm from New York, when's my birthday, what's my favorite color? The basics, just the general, who is she? And then I flood them with some pictures. I show them the cats, I showed myself sitting in my work mullet, which is my nice shirt, and my sweatpants, which is how I teach from home. Didn't know that my dean would be to admit that. And I let them see who I am as a person. I tell them the things that I like outside of math, because honestly, like, I don't sit home doing math problems. I really don't. Like, it's tax season, so I guess we're doing that, but I don't sit home and be like, I wish I just had some word problems I really could get into. No, I like my family. I like to spend time with my friends. I want to travel. I like going to the beach over the mountains. I love reality TV, and I share a few shows that I enjoy. Ice cream, chocolate. I prefer sweet over salty. I like to get together with my friends. I like to read. I have a Peloton that I'm pretty obsessed with. And then I also tell them the things I don't like, because a lot of times we bond over the stuff that we really don't like, if that's in common, like if the enemy of my enemy is my friend. And so I don't like tornadoes. I don't like traffic. I don't like onions. I'm actually allergic to them. I don't like horror movies. I hate to be late to things. I really don't like paying bills, and I've got 2 kids, and it just drives me nuts when they're sick. It just seems to spread all over the place, and it ruins everybody's day. And once I've shared a little bit about me, and like I ran through that pretty fast. If it was my class, I would really take some time and delve into it. I tell them what I expect out of them, and they're pretty, reasonable expectations: coming to class, staying the whole time, communicating with me so that I can work with them. Be willing to be open-minded, be willing to have some fun, try your best, and especially to offer grace both to me and to themselves and to their fellow classmates. But I don't do that without sharing what they can expect from me. Because remember, this is all about me at this point in the semester. It's not all about them. I want them to know that they can count on me to be patient. They can count on me to communicate with them. They can count on me to give them multiple examples and lots of different ways to solve problems. They can count on me to ask for a variety of ways to show that they understand or comprehend what I'm trying to explain to them. They can count on me to be honest, even if I'm like not having a good day or not having a good go of things, to just be honest with them. They can count on me to give them pretty bad jokes, and a lot of them. And they can also expect to have that same grace from me. And when I tell you that these expectations are so important in my classroom culture, I could not do my job without them, especially the honesty and the grace. To be vulnerable for a minute, one of my very best friends in the whole world died the week before class started, unexpectedly, and I have been a mess. My students know this about me. And there was one day this semester where I came in and we got started, and I don't even remember now what made it happen, but I started to cry in front of my class. And I was trying to make it stop, and I was like, I'm so sorry. And they were immediately offering me that grace that I had promised to offer them. They stood up. One of them came and gave me a hug. They stood around the front of the room. They shared that it's okay, that there's, no path through around this. You have to go through it. They shared little pieces of their own lives and their own struggles. And the reason they were willing to do that is because I was very open and honest with these students from the beginning of class, and I didn't lie to them. I didn't tell them something was going to be easy if it was going to be hard. I didn't tell them that, they were going to necessarily be able to pass their math GD exam after taking my class. I told them they're going to make progress. They have to be patient with themselves. This is tricky. It might take you a while to get it. If I'm not explaining it well, let's see if we can find another way to explain it well to you. And that real trust, if you remember the circle, that trust helped me dramatically. So making my class all about me at the beginning and letting my students in and not being guarded really, really has benefited my class culture probably more than anything. We do talk about, the expectations of ECC. I tell them all about how to find me. And then at the end, I ask them to ask even more about me. I've been talking about me for probably an hour at this point. And then I say, okay, what else do you want to know? And at first they're like, I don't know. And I say, okay, well, if you go first, you'll have more options because people are going to start asking stuff and you're going to run out of ideas. And so someone will be like, where would you want to go on vacation? And someone, I'll usually explain how I want to go to Bhutan because happiness is an index that they measure in their culture, just like we do GDP. And we talk about that for a little, and they all typically try to share where they would like to go. And I've had people ask me all kinds of stuff. Can you plank for a minute? Yes, I can. Can you stand on your head? Yes, I can. Do you speak any other languages? Mediocre French, like all different kinds of questions, but it's all about me. Because if they don't trust the crazy lady who's in the front of the classroom, how can they be expected to open up and share all about themselves if they don't know who they're sharing with? And I think the onus is on us as faculty to be open more with our students and our classes so that we do show that we are human beings who have all of these dynamic facets, and that we accept and appreciate and recognize that every seat filled in our class is also full of somebody who has a lot in their backpack that they're carrying in beyond just a math book or a communication script or whatever they're working on academically. And once we say, I see you, I know who you are, then we can learn, okay? So, we get back, here we go. Oh, my third and fourth bullet point there. The fourth one I'll go to first. I feed them. I offered you a treat when you came in. I always have a little tiny treat in the front of my classroom. It's just a personal preference. It helps me when I feel a little bit peckish, but also my students know that if they didn't eat breakfast, there's probably at least a Reese's peanut butter cup or maybe a granola bar on a good day that they can look forward to when they get to the class. And also the importance of routine. Going back to that slide about knowing, I know what to expect in my class. I know how to succeed. I always have my schedule written on the board. And I always stick to it 100%, but it's pretty much what I'm planning to do. Sometimes we get off on a tangent. How do I go to the next? Okay.
And I think, when we were kind of planning this, I went through those slides that Kathleen just showed you, and I was like, I love that, and I'm gonna start doing that, but I think those are also things that can be very easily infused into a syllabus. Even into the syllabus template, that it's very easy to put that kind of personality into your course policies and into having a note and a disclaimer about accommodations, not only just the boilerplate stuff, but like, if there's something that you need that's either documented or not documented, let me know how I can help you learn better. And building that into the fundamental stuff, not just the environment, but also in the handouts, in the syllabus, in the assignments, that there is grace being built into that and honesty that's not just like, we're gonna be honest in here, but then like, here's all this other stuff. That it's very easily implementable in the course content as well, and in the assessments. And so part of my background is before I came here, I did my undergrad in theater. So I studied performance all throughout college, and then I got really lucky and I got to kind of travel all over the world doing theater. And one of the things that I think makes theater unique to what we're talking about today is quite often when you get cast in a show, you have 2 weeks. The rehearsal period is 2 weeks to put everything all together. Because they're not making any money during rehearsal. They only make money when you actually do this thing. So you have to create community really, really fast. Because there's no way you're gonna feel safe to make choices, to be bold, to take risks, if it's not a safe environment. And so one of the things that I try and build into all of my classes, whether it's 101, which is our fundamentals class, intercultural communication, or my performance class, oral interpretation of literature, is I do build in some improvisation. And so we'll do a little bit of kind of how I do this, and this is what I do. And I do this in all of my classes, so I would love it if you are willing and able to kind of stand up, and we can maybe make a circle. We can like make a circle around this area.
No.
Yes, you're perfect. Zoom is perfect.
You're perfect,
You want
Zoom.
to send some in here?
Yes, you can kind of come, yeah, this is good.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe yeah, that's perfect.
I'm like, in here, out here.
No, wherever you want. Anything you say is true, everything is yes. So we're gonna do names again, because names are really important. Names are really important in all of our classes. Names are really important around the college. When you know people's names and you're not just like, oh, that guy, who's that guy? What does that guy do? And you're like, hey, or you say like, oh, we should really get lunch. And then you never do anything about it. Like when you actually start to know people and you say people's names, it starts to feel more like a community. And so one way that I do names, and we know names are so important, is every time I start a class, we get into a group, we get into a circle, and everybody's gonna say their name, and you're gonna have some sort of physical gesture. There's lots of research that talks about how when you associate some sort of physical movement with a word or with a phrase, you remember it better. So you're gonna say your name, and you're gonna come up with some sort of physical gesture. It doesn't matter what it is.
That does a little bit, we're at a college.
I guess, yeah. Mine's gonna be, because I'm looking at Heather, Brian, and Jive, and then we're all gonna do that. Brian,
Brian.
Brian.
Kathleen.
Kathleen,
Elizabeth.
Elizabeth,
Louise.
Louise,
Oh, we're gonna get.
Justin.
Lisa.
Lisa,
Corey.
Corey,
Bilal.
wow.
I was gonna touch mine though.
This is revenge for the clown. Party.
Marty.
Marty. Okay, we'll go around again. Brian,
Brian.
Kathleen.
Kathleen,
Elizabeth.
Elizabeth,
Louise.
Louise,
Justin.
Justin, Lisa.
Marty.
Marty, do we got it all? Everybody got it?
Don't be surprised when you see each other in the hall. You're like, Justin.
And now what we're gonna do, we're gonna, I teach communications, so we're gonna send and receive messages. And the message is gonna be the person's name. So I'm gonna say that person's name and do their gesture, and then everybody's gonna do it to indicate that it was received. So I'm gonna say, Louise. And now it's Louise's turn to choose somebody and do this.
Elizabeth.
Elizabeth.
Marty.
Marty.
Brian.
Brian. Lisa.
Lisa. Oh.
And everybody do it, Lisa.
Oh, Lisa.
Corey.
I don't remember these gestures.
It's okay to ask, it's okay to ask.
Okay, what was your, the nose, and your name again?
Bilal.
Bilal, okay.
Wow. Who's left?
Elizabeth.
Nope, that's me.
No.
Kathleen.
Yes, your name is Kathleen.
But Elizabeth is over there.
Yes. And so, when we do that, we start to get to know people. Everybody has to say somebody's name, and it's okay to ask. It's okay to be wrong. It's okay to say, what? Well, who are you? What is your name? What is your gesture? And we do that for the first like 3 classes, just like walk in, get into a circle. You can tell we're laughing, we're giggling, we're having fun. It's okay to be wrong, and already kind of setting that up that it's okay to be wrong.
Okay, be
Nobody's
silly.
gonna laugh at you. Nobody's gonna make fun of you. It's okay to ask for help. It's everything that you say is okay.
It's also not that serious.
No, and you're never gonna look stupider
not-
than doing this stuff.
Yeah.
And it's okay because we're all doing it. And even the students who are like just apathetic, when they are apathetic doing stuff like this, it makes them look really bad, and then they have to buy in. Because everybody else is like, Kathleen, Lisa, and everybody's doing it, and then they're like, fine, and it all it
It's great when
takes.
that's their thing.
Yes.
though.
It just takes like just getting over that first hump, and then the floodgates start. And that's not to say that it works for everybody. But in my experience, I know that anecdotally, it really does foster this immediate sense of like, everybody's smiling, everybody's having fun, and we're learning who each other is. Sorry, Sarah. Yeah,
I appreciate that both of your things are also low stakes,
yeah.
because I was already getting worried and trying to figure out how to leave or sit down or what, when you were gonna have us, which you didn't, go around and do everybody's. that is a very stressful activity.
yeah.
And so my appreciation was, oh no, I just have to remember any one person's.
Mhm.
And frankly, I probably could have done my own and you would have been okay with it. And so I appreciated that. It was low stakes.
Yeah.
Sometimes people think things that are high stakes are also fun and
No.
I know that some people really thrive in competition. And I think that can come if that is a motivator. But I'm a big fan of like, I think there's nothing wrong with celebrating all of the wins instead of the one person who does win. We play a lot of games in my performance studies class. And the one rule that I always say is the object of the game is not to win. The object of the game is to play the game. Because we often get so caught up in like, well, in our world and in our society of winning. We have to win and then it gets stressful. And then I worry I'm not gonna win and somebody else is, and then I'm gonna look stupid. And it's not about that, it's about playing the game. And we play a name tag game, we play all sorts of like games, but it's, and this is an improvisation activity where no matter what gesture you did, we were gonna say yes to that. And I love that. And we're so happy for you. And it's not about coming up with the best one or even the right one. It's about doing something and we're all gonna be like, yeah, I like that. And then we start to feel comfortable and together. Okay, you can sit back.
Can I ask you a question? Or do you want to take questions at the end? Is this interrupting the
No,
flow of what
yes,
you're doing?
no, there's no flow.
Oh, no, it's flow.
You're part of the flow.
All right. I'm kind of a visual learner, and this was a very oral activity for me and a very kinesthetic activity. And I like the idea of seeing Kathleen's and Brian's names on the board, and I already know Elizabeth. So it wasn't accidental that I chose to call on her because I already knew these names and I had already honestly forgotten the names. And I was trying to remember the gesture. And I was like, okay, I remember this, but I didn't remember the name Justin. You know what I mean? So could you help facilitate the activity by writing the names on the board as people are introducing themselves? And then I could have a visual there?
Yeah, or with name tents or with name tags.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
100%, yes. And to your point of being a visual learner, we're getting pretty close to the end of our time, but if you click on I think it's the next one. Yeah, okay. The couple of activities that I tend to do, and I will just describe since we are so close to the end. You see these yellow and pink and green cards up here in the picture. That's what these are. And this whole stack are all statements about Kathleen. I mentioned earlier, it's all about me that first day. I want them to really feel comfortable with me and not feel pressured or concerned about like spilling all the beans to me about themselves just yet. And so what these are, all facts about me. Some of them are true and some of them are false. And so what I tend to do to foster some low stakes competition in my class is I divide the cards up into two groups. And I divide my students up into two groups. And I have them, the goal is that they lay out all of these cards, and then there are two stacks of pink, one of pink and one in green. And the pinks say false, every single one says false, and the greens, every single one says true. So there are two stacks of cards, they each have yellow groups, and their job is to spread out all the cards and as a team work together to figure out which ones are false and label them false by putting a pink over them, or find the ones that are true and put a green over them. And the key to the game is they're allowed to ask me yes or no questions, like 20 questions. But they're not allowed to ask me the question that's on the card. So for example, this card says Kathleen has a swimming pool in her backyard. The student can't come up to me and say, do you have a swimming pool in your backyard? They can come up to me and say, do you have a nice backyard? Do you have any activities you could do in your backyard? Do you have anything blue in your backyard? Something like that, that might help them figure out the answer. And I don't have a swimming pool in my backyard. So once they figure that out, they can put a false thing over it or next to it or however they want to arrange it. And once the team has given a true or false to all of the statements, they call me over and they say, check it. And I check it and I look and I say, okay, there's 4 wrong, but I don't tell them what's wrong. And then they look like, oh, well, she said that well, she said, she teaches math, maybe she didn't major in math, and I don't know, does she have dogs? No, she said she has cats, that one's false, that one's false. And they start switching them out, and then they have me come back over and I check again. And once the first team to get everything correct, matching up the true and false, wins. And what they win is typically, for me, a pretty low stakes prize. It might be as simple as giving everybody a quarter, or a little granola bar, or, a round of applause, or sometimes I have a little trophy that I'll bring in and I'll say, this team has won the trophy. Whoever wins the next game, that team will have the trophy, and whoever has the trophy by the end of the semester might get $1 or something, real little. But it fosters this sense of low stakes competition that they kind of thrive on, and inadvertently they start to talk to each other and they start asking each other questions, but it's all about me. They don't have to divulge anything about themselves right at the beginning. And that in itself helps them get to know me, which I want, helps them talk to each other, which I want, foster that sense of belonging, which I want, while letting them feel safe and comfortable, which I also want. And it's fun.
And I think getting students in groups early on is also so important, and so that they do start to communicate. And the last kind of thing that I do is some expectation setting, like collective expectation setting. And we won't do this, but typically on the first day of class, anytime I get students into groups, Heather knows this, I don't like to count off, because I have found that I am not good at math, and anytime I have to divide students into groups, I'm like, okay, there's 19 of you, and we need to get into 4 groups, so let's count off by, and then my brain just like, I pass out. Because I don't know how to do it. So instead, what I do is, I have students always get into a line at the front of the room, and I say like, let's line up, and by like the 3rd week, they now know that that's just routine. This does not work if you just like try and do it like middle of the semester, they won't buy in. But if you do it early on, and I have them line up, I say like, let's line up by the first letter of your favorite beverage. And then it's like, there's like a lot of people like coffee, and then there's like,
Guy likes milk.
then, yeah, somebody was like milk, and everybody's like, what? And yesterday in class, I was like, line up by, and I didn't know what I was gonna say when I started the sentence, and I was like, line up by your favorite time of day. And I was like, 12:01 a.m., 11:59 p.m. They were like, that's really weird. But then they like all did it and were like, oh yeah, like 6, 7. And then there was like a whole bunch of like 10 p.m. people. And it's just like interesting, weird things that you start to talk about. And you're like, what's your favorite drink? And because they have to do it.
When I saw your class, you did favorite color, but you said, be specific. I don't want to hear blue. I want to hear sky blue or, cyan.
It had to be an adjective.
Navy.
And it's just then, as they're lining up, they're like, what's your favorite color? And then they start to learn these like very silly, low stakes things about each other. And so when we do that, they get into groups, and I put things around the room like, if you took a speech class before, what went well, what didn't go well? What do you want to get out of this course? Why is this a required course? Or in my 200 level class, I have terms, all the terms that we're going to talk about in intercultural communication. I have nonverbal, verbal, and I ask them to just draw, doodle, write, bullet point. Tell me what you know about these things before we even get started, so that then I know where the gaps are. And that's a really fun thing, because then it gets them talking about like, okay, nonverbal communication, what is that? Like, okay, that's like facial expressions. And I'm like, be more specific. And then they're like, eye contact. I'm like, yes. And so they start to just pull some of the content out, and then they know what we're gonna cover. And then I know what they, yeah. So I like to do that. I love to do groups. We get into groups almost every day, and I mix up the groups all the time so that they're not just like, turn to people near you. And then it's just like clumps of people around the room, that they know when they come into my class, they're gonna be moving around, that they're gonna be talking with different people every single day.
Yep. I also have people finish each other's work sometimes. And at first they find this absolutely terrifying until they realize nobody's work is done. And what I mean by finish somebody else's work, imagine a long division problem. And I'll say, okay, here's the long division problem. And you put it up on the board and say, copy it down. They all copy it down. And I say, okay, begin the long division problem. And they all start. And in like 6 seconds, I say, put your pencils down. Everybody stand up, move to somebody else's seat and sit down. Look at what they've done and try to do whatever the single next step is. Just one step. You're not finishing it, just one step. They all kind of look and they're like, okay, and they try it. Okay, everybody stand up, go to somebody else's seat, sit down, do the next step. And that's it. And they just do one step at a time. And then when they return to their own seat, it's not their problem, it's everyone's problem. And then the task becomes check your work, check the work. It's not yours, it's our work, check our work. Is it right? Where did we go wrong? What mistakes were there? Can you fix it? And so you start to get this buy-in that like, it's okay if I made a mistake. Nobody's gonna know if it was me because I went to 6 different chairs. And so I made a mistake at 6 different parts in the problem. And when I got back to my seat, if it's all wrong, it wasn't me. It's okay. It's okay to be wrong. But if you can recognize why it's wrong, if you can fix it, you understand and you can share and explain to the class what was really going on. And so this idea of like line up, move around, be physical in your classroom becomes really handy when you start getting into the content and the academics of it, because you're willing to do it. You're so right. They will not do it if you start on week 9 with everybody line up and like, tell me all about your deep, dark secrets. They're going to be like, I am going to be absent for the rest of the class. They'll go on break and not come back. Yeah.
So when we think back to what we did, we wanted to recognize the importance of establishing relationships and community from the very beginning of the semester, describe ways of making students feel welcome and safe in our classrooms and in our community, and then explain some things that we do early on. And kind of the last thing is,
Yeah, you got community trust. Okay. So maintaining that trust. You build it up at the beginning of your semester. You have a lot of fun. We all know that Elizabeth is right here and we know Louise is over here and we know that Bilal is right there. And like we get going with all of that stuff and we feel comfortable and we apply it and we solve each other's math problems and we're okay to fail. And the semester is going along really, really well. Even if you have a bad day, you can cry in front of your class and you're like, oh, this is just so great. I love my students. It's like a nice little spa when I come to work. How do you keep that going? Get off topic. It's okay. If your students are engaged, you can bring them into anything. I teach a foundational class that's a level 3-4. That doesn't mean anything to you if you're not in ABEC, but we don't learn functions in my particular math class. We do in the next one, but not in mine. But I had a student go take her assessment and she was like, can you please just explain to me what this is? And we spent 25 minutes playing a game that was like, figure out what's happening here. And then by the end of it, they were like, what is this? And I was like, those are functions. And they were like, oh, we were totally off topic. We were supposed to be doing something with fractions, but they came to me with a skill they needed to learn that was going to help them down the road. And we got off topic, but we stayed engaged and I was able to bring them back to what we were doing by the end. Make intentional mistakes and ask students to find them. I'm the first one to make a mistake in my classroom every single semester. Every semester on purpose, right away, I make a mistake because I want them to see it. I want them to see me go, oh shoot, I made a mistake. They don't need to know if it was real or not. Sometimes it is real. I'm human. Sometimes it's real. I make a real mistake. But they don't need to know that. I want them to see that I can be wrong and I can go, oh my gosh, I can't believe I made a mistake. How embarrassing. I'm the teacher. And I erase it and I fix it. Now it's okay to make a mistake because the teacher made a mistake. It's fine. Brian, you do this, and I got this from you, a mental check-in for everyone, including myself. How are you today? How was your weekend? How are we doing on a scale from 1 to, ready to book a vacation to Bali? 1 being I'm gonna dig a hole and jump in. Where are we? And they start to say, oh, well, 6, 7, or even just a thumbs down to a thumbs up. How was your weekend? And my favorite, a good laugh and a long sleep are the 2 best cures for anything. And taking care of ourselves outside of whatever the academic content is will ensure that your students return to your classroom and do the work that is necessary to be successful academically because they're forwardly thinking about taking care of themselves.
And so where to go from here? This is my little sales pitch for CETL.
That's why I always ask you to present, Brian.
So places that we can continue this and things that we've been engaged with and places to go. The 4 Commitments project that Dr. Ramos does.
It's moving to Cedal. It's kind of moved to Cedal now.
Oh, has it? Okay,
Yeah,
great.
it's a full Cedal ad up there. Thank you.
Logo.
4 commitments, 4 very, very easy implementable things to do from the beginning of class.
And there are emails sent out at the beginning of each semester if you want to participate in upcoming semesters.
Teaching squares, go watch other people teach, and then teaching pairs, mentor or mentee other people in faculty. So thank you for all being here.
Thank you for coming. If you have any ideas or suggestions, I will always be happy to take them. And we have other things that we use in our classes, but we tried to give you like our favorites. So hopefully you got something beneficial out of it and something you can take back into your workplace or classroom or friend group. You know,
And
truths and a lie is fun with friends too.
Thank you.
Thank you.
How many cell phones do you have if you're giving your students your cell phone number?
I have just the one and I swear to you, they don't abuse it. They
I've
really
never
don't.
abused mine either. I've done this for
I've been
20
using-
years. I've given up my cell phone.
Yeah.
I've given out my cell phone number since
Never
two
had
thousand
a
fifteen
problem.
and I have never had a student abuse it. I do keep my phone on silent and I say that to them. I say, if you text me at 11 at night, I'm not gonna see it till 4:45 in the morning. So if you think it's okay to text me at 11 at night, you need to be okay getting a reply at 4:45. So, you know,
I've-
just know
I give
that.
out my number as well, and I've been doing it for about 4 years, and it has been abused a little bit.
Yeah?
Yeah, sometimes I get a text message saying that my number was used to apply for unemployment.
Oh,
A couple times, I've had students call me at inappropriate hours, clearly not in their right mind, so it happens. That's why I use a Google Voice number. I don't
I was
give
gonna
out
say,
my-
well, Google Voice is
Yeah, I
good.
don't use my personal.
If needful.
I also have a work phone. See,
hi,
but
Tyler. Have a treat. Find a seat.
What's your job?
All right, I'm gonna log off the Zoom. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, seriously.
Bye.
Any other questions? No? All right.